what's up, you guys? I'm with players from my shop, but these aren't just Yu-Gi-Oh players. They're Pokemon players, and that means we're gonna have a discussion about Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. So today we're gonna be talking about the differences between Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and maybe some advantages that Pokemon has over Yu-Gi-Oh. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is accessibility. A lot of people say that Pokemon is a more accessible game than Yu-Gi-Oh is. I mean, like, Batman, you just started sort of playing Pokemon for, because Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of competitive scene. Anyways, what do you think of how easy it is to jump into it?
Jumping the game of Pokemon is a lot easier because the game is cheaper as far as card value goes. Now, of course, you do have some of your higher dollar cards in Pokemon, but most everything is under $15. Yeah, except for like some of the newest stuff that came out, which is only like 40, which is like the top price of the card. Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, just your main deck alone can cost you anywhere up to $300 to $400 to play. Not to mention your extra deck. Really, to get into the competitive scene of Yu-Gi-Oh, to even stand a chance to even play the locals, you have to invest around $1,000 if you actually want to play.
Right, and Dolo, you've been playing Pokemon for a while. What do you think of how easy it is to jump in, jump out, without like a huge cost attached?
Like, the people here are real friendly, and they will help you out a lot. Like, either they'll give you the card or they'll sell you the card for dirt cheap, and you can easily put a deck together and hop into it and play. And then like the rules are not complicated. Like, you can't do anything on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
It's like it's a lot easier, and it also makes it a lot more fun. Not complaining about Yu-Gi-Oh. I enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh still, but
there isn't any. Is it good, sir?
Yeah. There's none of that.
Yeah, something I've noticed with Pokemon is the people who play also seem to be nicer. You've played like Pokemon around here for a while. Like, what do you think of the Pokemon crowd versus the Yu-Gi-Oh crowd?
The Pokemon crowd is obviously a whole lot friendlier. They actually believe and treat the card game like it's a card game. Twilight Zone, right?
And like, yeah.
Like they're shiny pieces of cardboard.
Yeah, like I've noticed that like Yu-Gi-Oh players, it's like all about how much you value that, and then you're playing the game, is it good? Is it good? Is it good? Is it good?
It's cardboard that looks like money, basically.
Yeah, and so I feel like that's sort of different with Pokemon. I feel like Pokemon's a lot friendlier of a game. Also, competitively, I know Pokemon has like regional type things, right? Or I know they have a NAS.
Yeah.
Like, would you guys say that the competitive scene in Pokemon, like going to tournaments, is maybe better than Yu-Gi-Oh regionals, how they work?
I've been to a couple of tournaments. The competitive scene, it's just like playing Pokemon League here on Sundays at any regionals, Battle Roads, or even Nats. There's going to be some competitiveness, but it's not going to be all the salt if you lose. You will actually have no problem shaking your opponent's hand. They'll be laughs throughout the entire match. It's just friendly, and no one takes it that seriously, like unless it's in the final round or you've got one of the best games going.
Yeah, and now in terms of speed, because Yu-Gi-Oh's a really fast-paced game, really it's all about all that stuff. What do you, Pokemon seems like it's a bit slower paced. Games don't end in 3 minutes. What do you guys have to say about that? In comparison, which do you prefer?
I definitely agree. Pokemon is a lot slow as far as getting the game going, but yet again, it doesn't just make it to where you're just completely outmatched from the very beginning of the game. So Yu-Gi-Oh, you can end 3 games in 10 minutes easily. But Pokemon is a lot better as far as that point, and it's a lot simpler.
And it's a lot more broken. I'm talking about draw 10 cards.
Some of the cards allow you to
draw
just
10 cards
completely
broken.
draw a new hand with one card. It changes the format of the game, but the fastest game I've ever seen where you just didn't get knocked out by one basic at one turn. The slowest game I've seen, i.e. being the fastest, is a half an hour to 45 minutes. Because some of the decks now are just literally so, I wouldn't say slow, it's just so hard to take them out. There's a lot more thinking that's involved in it. I guess you would agree on that, Batman?
I would actually disagree. Coming from the Yu-Gi-Oh side, coming into Pokemon, it's actually a little bit easier because you learn how to read and you learn how to make your plays accordingly. You learn not to waste stuff, when to waste stuff, and how to play ahead. Which I think is definitely going to make the Yu-Gi-Oh side of the community coming to Pokemon have a little bit of an edge. we may not know all the, we may not know the entire format and all the cards, basically because it's, player knowledge. But I think it gives us the edge in just playing.
Right, and also, so I don't mean to say, anybody should just quit one game for another. I mean, all the people here play both, so clearly it's possible. What do you guys think of playing two different card games or three different card games? Like, I mean, have you guys ever really found maybe something in Yu-Gi-Oh to help you be better in Pokemon? Or that sounds kind of cliche, but like.
I actually have. When I first started getting into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, the first thing everyone always told me is, Sam, you need to slow your plays down. You need to not only read the cards, but you need to start thinking like a couple of turns ahead. And that was actually the first thing some of the veteran Pokemon players told me, was you can't just think about what you're doing for that turn. You have to think, obviously, 2 and 3 turns at least in the future, what you could be doing. And that actually helped me speed up my plays to where I could actually have a stronger field out there for my opponents to beat.
Yeah, what do you guys think is in common between both games in terms of like actual gameplay? Or is it really just that different? I mean,
it's different in a form that everything goes in a certain structural order. In other words, once you declare your attack with your Pokemon, that's it. You're done. It's your opponent's turn now.
There's no main phase to it.
Yeah, there's no main phase
that's
to it.
always been a thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of confusing, and then I think Yu-Gi-Oh!'s got things like, chains, chains, and now they're like hand traps, so your turn's always getting interrupted by your opponent, and then just traps in general.
Yu-Gi-Oh!'s ruling is a lot more complicated than Pokemon. Pokemon is so simple, you only have to have a rule book to play. Just read the bottom of the card. It tells you can play X many of this time. You can play only one of this at this time.
It doesn't seem like there's many
so it's definitely a lot easier for someone to pick it up and to not get discouraged and quit.
Exactly.
Right. So in review, I mean, I'm not going to ask you guys to pick a side, like which is better, but as of right now, which card game do you think is more preferable to play? Dolo, you can, I guess.
I mean, preferably, if I had to recommend a card game for you to get into, I wouldn't recommend Yu-Gi-Oh! Just strictly because, like, the main thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! People always say is it costs too much. It costs that much when you want to be competitive. If you want to come have a good time with your friends, you can buy a structure deck and have fun. But in saying that, I still wouldn't recommend it because Pokemon, like, look at the community, it's a lot more friendly. They don't have so-called packs like we do in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you have the good players, then you have the mediocre players, then you have the bad players. Like, they don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I said it before, I still love Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a great game still. It's kind of sacky, it's kind of broken, but, like...
The Pokemon would probably be a little more easy to get into.
Pokemon would be easier to get into.
And Charles, how about you? I mean, between the two games, you kind of had to. Which would you tell people to maybe play first if they just want to get into a hobby or something?
If I wanted to tell them to get into a hobby, I would say get into Pokemon based on the fact when I first started playing Pokemon, friend Jeremiah taught me how to play. It only took me 10 minutes. And that's just because I kept asking questions because I'm at work.
So because it's just easy to learn.
Absolutely. There's no other way to say it. It's easier to learn. And honestly, people around here have so many extras of cards. You can actually build a deck.
Easy to get to.
Absolutely.
And Batman, how about you? I mean, you just started playing, and this is a veteran Yu-Gi-Oh player, guys. So, but he just started playing Pokemon, which that's Warhammer. That's our shop.
That was the guy just dying.
I would say Pokemon just because it doesn't. Yu-Gi-Oh! I would have to say isn't a hobby if you actually want to play competitively because you have to do research. You actually have to waste time in the game, which isn't healthy for a person like outside. Truthfully, Pokemon on the other hand is something you can pick up and put down at will. And
easy to drop in, drop out.
And you can play for clearly no cost. I mean, from what I've been hearing, a lot of Pokemon tournaments are free. They give you stuff just for showing up. And the prize support for Pokemon is so much better than Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, I mean,
that's actually
you pay money to get what you paid to get there. Like okay, you pay $20 to play in the tournament, you get some packs away, and you get a chance to get a mat that you might can sell for $60 to $80.
Well, that's actually how the Pokemon tournaments work. All the packs are close. It's actually a ruling, so it's completely random. You could get last place and you could get the money card. So it encourages a lot more people to play that way, and it's just actually a lot more exciting. You actually don't know what you're gonna get for once.
All right.
I came up here like 2 weeks ago to a Pokemon tournament. I didn't spend any money. I didn't even have a deck. Like a guy like Jesse Sucky, he was there. He was like, I'm not playing. You want to borrow my deck? I'm like, cool. I got the deck. It wasn't that big of a learning curve to learn how to play the deck, and I actually did pretty good just playing that deck. My first time playing that deck that day, and notice I didn't spend any money. I didn't have to buy cards or anything.
Right.
And I will say I was this close to getting free cards just for nothing.
So
During my Pokemon tournament, the guy gave me his deck and said, hey, just leave it at the counter when you're done, and he left.
that's when you know. That doesn't happen in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Your best friend won't let you borrow shit in Yu-Gi-Oh.
I will say mine will, but a random person won't, because if you give me your deck and tell me to leave it at the counter, I'm not coming back for 3 weeks. Your card's not leaving. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not a thief. I'm not a thief.
So yeah, like that more or less concludes our video. What do you, the viewers, think? You know what to do. Leave it in the crotch. Tell us
Rate,
what you think.
comment,
Yeah, subscribe.
or hit us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+.
Yeah, and leave suggestions.
Follow me on Black Planet. www.blackplanet/.
You know, I saw that in a Google search once. Like, I'm not kidding. And you don't want to know whose profile. Anyways, so yeah, so do all that. It's
Basically, at the end, play what the fuck you want to play.